obviously the dog is not comfortable. Okay, and then overall body, as we said, dogs who are content and relaxed look content and relaxed. It's pretty simple. When they move, their joints bend. They kind of have some movement to their neck and their shoulders. They may bend their bodies and do a nice U-turn. And actually, a dog who approaches you either at an angle or by turning their body is a beautiful approach, and that's what they should do. Dogs who are on the offensive are very stiff and rigid. They stand up tall. They may be on their toes. They may spread their front legs apart farther so that their chest looks broader. They usually hold their head up. And again, as we talked about before, their tail is probably up. Okay? They may lean forward as well, as we talked about forward motion being really important in taking up space. Dogs who are on the defensive do the opposite to make themselves look small. They hold their head down, they stay low to the ground. If they move, they just kind of slink along instead of standing up to move. Not only is their tail tucked, they may even kind of tuck their hips in under a little bit more and make themselves kind of into a ball. They just get as small as they can. All right. Aroused dogs move very frenetically, so they bounce, they spin, they jump, they bounce and spin and jump and pace and do all that kind of stuff in their cage, or when you're out with them, they just don't slow down. And then hackles up is a sign of arousal. Hackles is that fur on the back of the neck and down the spine. It is not necessarily aggression. People tend to think of it that way, but it can be just from pure excitement. We see 3-month-old puppies in puppy class who are so excited to come and run around in the room with 9 other puppies that their hackles are up. Okay, and first-time puppy owners get kind of scared by that, so we really make sure we explain. Sometimes it can be just like goosebumps for us when we get great, fabulous news and we're all excited. So put it all in context and you'll understand what's going on. Okay, so a couple of videos here just to show you some ideas with the body. Just this is a good example of loose body, so you know what you're comparing to. Okay. So he does have a nice broad sweeping wag. He's playing with a toy, which is, it's not body language, but it is a tip right away that he's comfortable, because stressed dogs don't play. So he has a nice little kind of butt wiggle, and again, when he went into that space, he turned. Now I know it's kind of a tight space, but if he were not comfortable, he would have backed out, or it would have looked more like a really stiff pivot instead of bending and arching his back or his spine. Some more tail wag, again, more circling, more arching. He's very easily going to be giving up this toy in a moment, so you know his mouth is not really clenched either. That took no effort at all for him to take that, or to take that toy from him. So he's totally a relaxed dog. So that's kind of your benchmark of what you want to be gauging against. And then here's a dog with his hackles up. He has very, very short fur. So it's not like you're going to see so much in profile, all kinds of hair standing up. Look at that like lacquer diamond on his back. That is the hackles up. He has it at the base of his tail too. So kind of down on his rear end on his hips. There, finally stood still, so you can see it kind of in profile, the hair standing up. Do you need to change? Okay, and then last thing is vocalization. So it's not body language necessarily, but it's still communication, of course. Barking, the best way to figure out what's going on is to put it in context. If you've just walked into a room where there was dead silence and the dogs start barking, it's probably an alarm bark because you've entered the room. If the dog was nice and quiet and then you came and walked in front of him holding a tennis ball, it could very much be a bark because he's excited to get out and play with the tennis ball. So look at what's going on. High-pitched rapid barking is an alarm bark. So I'm admittedly not good at this, but like that, really, really rapid fire high pitch. That is, something has changed in the environment. Alpha dogs, go see what's going on. Okay? A sharp, deep bark is a warning. So I'm even worse at this, but bark, bark, bark. There's a break in between there. That is a dog who will handle things himself. He's like, leave me alone, back off from me. Whether it's because he's protecting his space or protecting himself, it doesn't really matter. He's telling you to go away. Okay. Growling is a warning, of course, but again, listen for pitch changes because there are dogs who talk or mumble when it sounds like they're growling. Even pitch is going to be a growl, but if it kind of fluctuates a little bit, so if it's grrr, that's more mumbling and talking to you. Okay, again, look at the body language and you'll probably be able to tell. Dobermans especially are known for doing this, but again, any dog can. Okay, and then then there's a safety scan that you want to do as well before you start handling an animal. A lot of this incorporates body language. This is in your paperwork, so I'm not going to go through all of it in detail. I'm going to talk about the last two though. Aroused, we talked about already a little bit, and what the physical signs are. The reason this is a problem is because the more aroused a dog is, the less self-control it has. This is the dog who's very likely to hurt you, but is a completely friendly dog and does not intend to harm you. It's just, he gets so out of control he can't help himself, and accidents happen. I've been here for over 15 years, and I've been bitten 4 times. Obviously, in all components of aggression, there's some kind of arousal, but the last one was a dog who was a completely friendly dog, but just couldn't handle all the stimulus anymore. Taking him out of a cage to do a behavior assessment, I was with a coworker who was new and didn't get the leash on, so that's another tip, make sure you get the leash on correctly. He didn't get the leash on right, so we didn't have as much control over him. Got him out of the cage, and 3 little kids came around the corner, and I was so terrified he was going to knock them down and crack their skulls open, and we'd be sued and we'd go out of business, and I'm a fatalist. So I stood between him and the kids and put my hands out, hoping that he would just jump, bounce, and his paws would land here, and then he'd look at me, and I'd be able to go, shh, relax, calm down. His paws did land here, and he went, ah, and bit me. I did not technically touch him, but physical touch is extremely stimulating, and when you've already got an overstimulated dog, that was the last thing he could handle. Dogs also, when they are aroused and stressed, they tend to want to use their mouths to get rid of that, so that's why with lots of dogs in the kennels, you'll see when you put the leash on, they start going after the leash and shaking on that, or maybe your pant legs. But because my hand was available, that's what he did. Okay. Friendly dog, just couldn't handle anymore. All right, so when you have a dog who's aroused, get him to calm down before you take him out of the cage as much as you can. And again, the best way to do that is to be the opposite of aroused, and that's why I wanted to just kind of whisper to him, draw the words out a little bit, because that is more soothing. And yawning works. It is contagious for dogs, just like it is for people. We've been saying for a long time that we felt that it worked as far as one being contagious, but also a sign of a stress reliever. To dogs, they will do it to each other as a signal to calm down. But we now have actual scientific backing. A study that was released just like a few weeks ago said they found that yawning is contagious in dogs. And aside from primates, they find that in no other species. So I think that's really fascinating. All right, if you have to take a dog out before you can get it to calm down for whatever reason, get the leash on it, do not touch it, do not talk to it, do not look at it until it calms down. Most dogs, once they actually leave the holding areas, their arousal plummets down because it's so stimulating in these rooms where there are 30 other dogs and they're all barking and jumping too. Once they get out of there, they usually calm down pretty quickly. Okay, so wait till you get out of the room before you then try talking and seeing if you can do anything with them. Okay, and then finally the end, no signs of friendliness. This is a big red flag that most people don't even see because it's so subtle. And we're not just saying, oh, it's not a friendly dog because he's baring teeth and lunging and doing all that. Thank goodness for the dogs who do that, because they don't want to be bothered. This is for the dogs who tell you nothing whatsoever about their emotions or how they're feeling. That is very, very rare in the dog world. Dogs are pack animals. They have been social, structurally packed animals for basically all of their existence. Their ancestors were. So if they don't tell you anything, you are not important to them, your safety is not important to them, they will bite you out of nowhere. Okay? Again, it's very unusual. In my 15 years, I've seen maybe 3 of these dogs here. So if you're getting a dog who is just like a blank, nothing, move on. Seriously, I don't want to touch them, they creep me out. So you guys just go to the next cage, okay? Don't work with them.